let's talk about Rome Odunze, guys, because he has, I think, a lot of potential in year one. And I really, when I asked him about, having that punt return experience or how maybe he could see himself contributing in that role, he really seemed all for it. And I think right now, when you're looking at positions that are up for grabs, I would put punt returner as one of those positions where you can actually compete and fight for. And so not only am I, the future is bright for him in terms of what he can do on the offense, but if he can be that punt returner, I'm curious to see what he would look like. I know there are people in the chat that are like, I don't want to see Rome Odunze out there at all on punt return. I'd be intrigued by it. It's another playmaker getting another opportunity to make a play. So I'm really curious to see how that plays out. If Rome Odunze could maybe be that guy for the Bears.
That's exactly how he described it. It's saying he wants to do it, just a chance to make more plays. Hoge, you're our special teams guy. What do you think?
Well, and he did say, you already know my favorite player is Devin Hester. So if I can contribute in any facet of the return game, I'm all for it. I think it'd be silly not to try it. Right? You guys remember Trent Taylor?
No,
yes,
I don't. I forgot that. I repressed that memory.
Yeah, it feels like 5 years ago. Trent Taylor was brought here last year because the Bears couldn't even catch the punts. So they used a roster spot on a guy whose job it was to catch the punts and hopefully get 7 yards. Because other than I think he broke like one at one point in the season, like there was no chance that they were going to have a dynamic play. So I would like to see more there. Bringing Dante Pettis back. Pettis was okay at it, a couple years ago. Yeah,
he can catch it,
and he can catch it. I just can we up the bar a little bit and stop being so afraid of injuries? It's football, okay? Guys are gonna get hurt. Rome Odunze could get hurt playing wide receiver. He can get hurt standing around at rookie minicamp. Oh wait, that already happened. Okay, so like if he can be a good player there, and his favorite player of all time is Devin Hester, so he's motivated to do it. It would be insane for Ryan Poles, Matt Eberflus, and Richard Hightower not to try to get better at that spot. Field position is everything. I'm just so sick of. I mean, it was really frustrating when they couldn't even catch the punts. And I've seen Velus Jones back there. I'm glad they're giving him more chances to try to get better at it. But I think that ship has sailed. Okay, you have to be trustworthy. There's no indication that Rome Odunze won't be trustworthy in that spot. And he didn't get a ton of opportunity at Washington, but that was probably because, and he said he practiced it all the time, but he was too valuable there. He's in a luxurious position here where he's a rookie, and 2, they have DJ Moore and Keenan Allen on this roster too. Okay, so if there ever was a spot to try this, it's now.
That's interesting, and I'd love to see it, but I will admit that it does slightly make me nervous. I mean, you're putting one of your key guys in a spot where, yes, I get it, Hoge. It is football, and you can get hurt, but you're putting him in a spot where he's got to catch a ball, and there's a lunatic coming down, 3 lunatics, whatever, coming down trying to kill him. Is it worth it? Yeah, I mean, is it worth it? Maybe if he wants to do it, and but he hasn't done it a ton. He talked about, he didn't get many opportunities at in college to do it. So you'd be putting a guy fairly green at the position doing it.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Bears are trying out a bunch of guys there too. From the practices we've watched, you've seen Rome Odunze, you've seen Tyreek Stevenson, you've seen other Dante Pettis hasn't been practicing, but he's been around there, and Velus Jones Jr., like you mentioned earlier, Hoge. So the Bears just need to find someone that is reliable. If that person who's most reliable is Rome Odunze, let him do it. Like, I get it. You're going to be in 11 personnel a lot just because of the playmakers you have in this offense. But if it's another opportunity to get a guy who can make people miss, who can be dynamic with the ball in their hands, it's just another opportunity. So he's going to gauge whether or not it's safe for him or not to play the ball that's in the air. And that's why he's getting all these practice reps now. Ever since rookie minicamp started, he's been doing this. So he's getting these reps now, and he's got a hell of a punter too in Torrey Taylor, who puts a lot of spin on the ball. So if he can catch a ball from him, I feel pretty good about what Rome can possibly do with some of the other punters in the league.
Well, I love his mindset. I love that he wants to do it. I love the Hester connection, which he was talking to us about all the way back at the combine. So it's not like this is I became a Bear and this is my favorite player now. No, it's like a real genuine thing. So, at least let him see it. Let him do it. I'd love to see it in a preseason game at least once, and then go from there. Now, the part that I will say I am a little bit concerned about here, which I really don't hold the same concern for Caleb Williams. But this is a conversation we have every single year, regardless of who the rookies are. And it's even then somewhat of a case-by-case basis. But there is this thing called the rookie wall. And it can be very, very real. Because the most obvious reason is you're playing more football games. Although college is definitely starting to catch up. And now we have an extra round in the playoffs, and we'll see. And actually, I don't know if maybe Steven can look this up quickly, but how many total games that would Washington have played last year? 12, 13, 14, 15? They probably played the 15. So getting pretty close to a 17-game schedule there. But if the Bears make the playoffs, now we're talking about more. Caleb Williams' season ended in November. He very publicly and somewhat controversially, although none of us really seem to have an issue with it at all, limited his workouts with teams, right? He didn't do all the medicals at the combine. He didn't work out at the combine. Like, I think he did a pretty good job of working out and staying in shape and getting better without burning himself out, and his season was much shorter. In Rome Odunze's case, played deep into January, went straight into draft prep, combine, not only worked out, but was there 15 minutes after the workouts ended because he was trying to better his time. I'm not punishing. I want to be clear. I think that was awesome. Okay. But I'm just bringing up that his off season was different. His in season was different. And unfortunately, he showed up to rookie minicamp and had a hamstring issue right away, which he talked about today because it's the first time we've had a chance to talk to him since that happened. And he said that he wasn't ready for the amount of reps he was getting. And that was just rookie minicamp. So I'm glad he got through the last few weeks without a problem. I don't see any reason why this should be something that we're necessarily worried about being a chronic thing. But I do hope the Bears are a little bit careful with Rome Odunze and perhaps some of that burnout. And maybe if that's your reason for holding him back from punt returns, I'm okay with it. Because not a lot of reps per game returning punts, but you do usually take a pretty nice shot if you do catch the ball and choose to return it instead of fair catching it.
I think that's a situation where the coaching staff would have to, kind of get in the way of Rome Odunze, because Rome seems like a guy that's like, give me all the reps, let me go be a punt returner. So that would be like, for me, thinking like Matt Eberflus, Shane Waldron, like, hey, yo, Rome, take a step back here a little bit, because he does seem like a guy that however he can contribute, offense, special teams, like he just has that mentality. From what we've seen from Rome, he's going to want to do that. So I would think that if that conversation happens, it would be the coaching staff kind of stepping in, telling Rome to almost hold back. But they're testing him with all the plays and things like that, like they've said earlier today. So it would be an interesting how they kind of played all that out.
If I had to bet on it, by the way, I'm going to say they don't do it. It seems too risky of a Matt Eberflus decision for me to think they would put a rookie back there, let alone the number 9 overall pick who they're counting on. But that's just a guess, obviously.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would probably lean that way too, Carm. However, let's see how the roster shakes out, because if you go into the season with Dante Pettis and Bayless Jones on the roster, you're talking about basically two guys who are there to return kicks and punts like you did last year when you had Bayless Jones and Trent Taylor taking up roster spots, and neither one really did a ton on offense.
Yeah, I don't love that option either. It's boring and you're just going to be praying to catch the ball. Bottom line, and which is the same exact thing that was last year versus somebody make a play. Yeah. But on the other side of it is the dude catches one, gets his knee blown up. You're going to be feeling like complete ass if that happens. So I know you can't think that way, but like it's kind of in some ways, I guess how you have to think. Gary's put this in there. I've seen other people in there too. I don't know if Ian Wheeler's making this roster, but I will say like there is a burst to him that I would be interested, in a guy like that. If he gets hurt, with all due respect to Ian Wheeler, well, that's the way it went. Which would be the same thing with Dante. Actually, it would be the same thing with Bayless. But I would be more interested in Ian, definitely over Bayless at this point, and over Dante too. And even though I do like Pettis,
it's interesting because all these comments right now are just sort of all over the place. Why is Bayless on this team? Don't let it be Pettis and Bayless. Just let Pettis do it. They're all over the place. Ian Wheeler, to me, I would think I'm putting him in the early category of favorite
training camp hero.
Yeah, training camp hero who gets cut, or sometimes they don't get cut, but like the Tanner Gentry, Dane Sonsenbacher award, type situation, because his name gets thrown out there a lot. You say his burst to him. I need to see it in a game. The guy ran like a 4.6 at the running back position or something like that, leading into the combine. So I get it, but yeah, like Blake says in the comments right here, I don't think Wheeler makes it over Homer. Like Travis Homer does a lot of different things on special teams. So you're going to have to show that you can do other things than just return kicks if they're going to keep you on the roster. And
I was speaking to the running backs coach, Chad Morton. He loves Travis Homer. So
yeah,
I kind of got that from today too.
And I get it. Like you can have a running back who can return and do all these things on special teams and blah, but they kind of already have that guy in Homer on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not ruling it out, but it's just this will be one of the things I really do think needs to be sorted out in training camp and honestly in the preseason games as well.
We all silly like the mayor.